Hey guys, Scott from scottsweb.dev here. Today I'm going to show you how to create a WordPress Rest API endpoint. APIs are used to exchange data between websites, and it's a really popular standardized way to do that. They use JSON to communicate and talk to APIs. So we're going to create a REST API in WordPress. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and open our code. I've opened functions.php here in my child theme. You can use functions.php in your theme if you own the theme, and if it updates, it won't overwrite your code. If you don't own the theme, make a child theme, please. That way your code doesn't get overwritten. Also, make sure you're keeping your code organized. If I were doing this, I would create, like if I were doing this for real, I would create a separate file called like API endpoints.php, and I would just include it here in functions.php. So I did want to preface this with stating that you should keep your code organized and make sure you don't put it in a place where it's going to get overwritten. The first thing we want to do is add an action to the REST API init with the callback function, and that tells WordPress to run this callback function when it's initializing the REST API. And what that looks like is add action REST API init, and then we can name our callback function here. I will just name it create REST endpoint. There we go. So now we need to create the callback function. Function create REST endpoint. And there inside this function, we're going to want to register the REST route. So register REST route. This takes 3 parameters. The first parameter is going to be the namespace of your API. So like if you were having a users API where you could get user, delete user, update user, whatever, I would name this users. If it was a products API, I would name this products. This is the top level namespace of your API. So I'll just call this users. The second one is your API method. This would be where you would have get user, delete user, or get product, delete product, list product, whatever. For this example, I'll call it get user. And then the third parameter is an array of options for register REST route. You can set your methods here. This is like if you're going to access this API via get or post or delete or put or patch or head or options, whatever it is. For simplicity for this example, we're just going to do get. If you wanted to add more, you would make this an array like get, post, like that. So we'll just put get. And then we need a callback for this register REST route. So when this REST route is hit, it has a function to execute. And I like to use a naming convention here. Whatever the method is, I like to call it do method. So here this would be do get user. It'll be a string, do get user. And that's it. So now we need to create that function for the callback for register REST route. So we'll do function do get user. We'll just put echo hi here so I can show you that this is all working. I did this locally. So when you create a REST API endpoint, you will access it through your URL / WP-JSON, your namespace, and then your method. So if I hit that URL, you see it says hi. That's where I put echo hi. This method is where like if you passed a parameter and let's say you passed an ID 43 for a user ID, you would look up information for user ID 43 here and then display it. So since I'm not doing that for this example, for brevity, I'll just make up one. Put result equals array. Name is Scott. Website is scottsweb.dev. And that's it. That's good enough. So then we'll put WP send JSON in this variable for the info. And what WP send JSON does is it JSON encodes the information, it prints it to the screen, and then it exits the API. So we'll go ahead and save that. Look in our browser here. You can see it JSON encoded it and it printed it to the screen. So basically, if you were calling this API from a remote site, you would JSON decode this and then work with the information however you wanted to. There is a better way to do it. Like if this was a success message, you could put WP send JSON success as a function, and what that does is that adds success to the JSON body here over to true. So if it's an error, you can send an error. If it's success, you can send success, and then you can check if the success was true. You can also set it like this. You do result success equals true, and then just regular WP send JSON. So there you go. We still have success over true here. Another thing I want to show you is a permission callback. As this is right now, this would be public. So if I wanted to make it more private, I would add a configuration option here that says permission callback. Do get permissions. Then we need to create that function. And this is where you would look up like an API key if it was passed, or check if a cookie was set, or see if the person's logged into WordPress and they're administrator. You can have any kind of PHP logic here. For right now, I'll just put return true, and that means anybody who accesses this can get information. We'll refresh our screen, and you'll see we still get the same information. But if I put return false, I get a critical error because I didn't put a semicolon there. If I return false, you'll see WordPress says, sorry, you're not allowed to do that. So WordPress actually won't send that data if the permissions aren't met. So you can do any kind of permission lookup there. We'll go ahead and put this back to return true. With WP send JSON, you can also send a HTTP status code with it. So if you wanted to check the status in your call to this API, you could do that as well. You could send 200 here for OK, or any other kind of HTTP response code. So we just have the same thing there, but it also sends a status with it that you can check on the other side. I have done literally thousands of REST API endpoints. They can get really intricate, and you can have a huge library of methods in the same namespace and really make a great functional API. And WordPress's API is really simple and intuitive to use, and it can rival any other API library out there. So it's a really powerful tool to keep in your belt. You can do lots of cool stuff with it. You can even use it internally in your WordPress sites so that you can call information from other pages. It's just a great way to pass information back and forth between websites. So I hope this video was helpful for you. We have lots of other how-to videos coming up, so you can look forward to that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.